Media Day. We are at the Baylor Scott and White Performance Center right across the street from the Star and the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters. We turn our attention now to the Roadrunners of UTSA, and joining us, head coach Frank Wilson. Frank, good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, Ron. Glad to be here.
And a couple of players joining us. Josh Dunlap, offensive lineman. He's a right guard, preseason Conference USA. Good to have you here, big guy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And also Carl Austin the third, not the second, the third. I got it right. Didn't play last year because he was injured, but did start back in 2017. I want to start with you, Frank, first of all. You got a new offensive coordinator in Jeff Castle. Had been the wide receivers coach. His philosophy on offense as opposed to maybe what you had last year.
I just think he brings innovativeness to us, ingenuity to us, a breath of fresh air, a guy who has played the quarterback position, has given us input from a receiver coach's standpoint, but it carries a little more merit when you're the play caller. That old saying that sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side and it's right in front of you.
Right.
I think he's ready to bloom as a play caller. I think he's an extremely bright mind, a guy that engages in professional development, and whether he's down with Kansas City or he's in Los Angeles with the Rams, just have us at a point where we're able to get optimal performance out of our players, because we're putting them in position from a personnel standpoint to make those plays by play call.
Talk about that offense, because you've got to get the people your offense now to forget about last year.
Yeah.
But the concentration on maybe the running game. You gained about 1.7 yards fewer on the ground than you did the year before. How important is it to establish a run game again this year?
Very important. But, here's the thing you look at. You look at the things that we were doing that hindered us from an offensive standpoint. Well, we didn't run the ball well, and they go hand in hand,
right,
because we didn't throw the ball well. We were woeful there. And so you go out and you find guys that have that ability. The numbers that you're referring to probably came in the last couple of games. Our best game, North Texas, in the last game of the year, and the game before that, where we played a true freshman, Brennan Brady,
right,
who gave us a breath of fresh air there, some light there. And so had a great spring, and from a personnel standpoint has really risen his game head and shoulders above. We have a true freshman and a young man named Sincere McCormick from Judson High School here in Texas. Phenomenal spring, highly anticipating him. And then, we get Devin Boston back, a junior college back who didn't play a year ago, and a young man who high school kid, and Ronnie Jackson, and as well as B.J. Daniels. So I just think that we have quality depth at the running back position with now a veteran offensive line, where a year ago we had four of the five guys were first-year starters. Now those guys have the experience, and we're the cohesiveness of the unit. From an offensive line play, you play as a unit, not individually. Right. And so I think that communication, those guys growing together, will allow us to rush the ball better.
Well, just a couple of things. B.J. Daniels was the team's leading rusher last year, and you mentioned Brandon Brady. He rushed for 221 yards, but his yards per carry was better than anybody on the team that toted the ball at least 30 times. I want to go back to the offensive line. Josh is sitting next to us, obviously. Yeah. They took their lumps last year, as you mentioned, but you do get 4 or 5 starters back. Spencer Burford, sophomore left guard. Does he have a chance to be pretty good?
Really, really good. He was a young man that was highly touted at the back end of his recruiting. Had Colorado, went down to Baton Rouge for a camp, which drove me crazy. Got a late offer from the Tigers there. In any school that I've been at, we would have recruited Spencer Burford. He's that talented. And then he's under the wings of some guys that are mature, that understand the game, that are getting him where he needs to be. And guys like Josh, that's where our team becomes stronger at. Just our leadership is better than it's ever been.
Talk about the quarterback battle. You have 2 coming back, a third one coming onto campus. The competition has got to be good, but these 2 have battled each other before. Talk about and give us an update on quarterback.
Well, so we 3 had been on campus. We had 2 that just came in. In the case of Lowell Narcisse, who was a transfer.
4-star recruit.
Yeah. That was one time committed to Clemson, went to LSU, left LSU, went to junior college for a semester, and in his mind, in fairness to him, feels this is my moment. I'm ready now.
Right.
To compete with a Frank Harris, who was highly touted, as talented as a player that we've ever recruited, who have sustained 2 injuries, who says, it's my moment now. That's competing with a Cordell Grundy, who started games last year, who said, okay, I'm wiser now, I'm smarter, I'm stronger, I'm bigger, and I have the best understanding of this offense. I'm ready now. And so that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, yeah.
You know, it's a good problem to have, that we have quality guys that are all vying for a position. And then in reality, we had them live in scrimmages in the spring in 3 occasions. Probably not enough to declare the guy just yet. It'll happen. You know, we'll have split practices the first week in fall camp, and let them really get after each other to separate themselves. And then the last week going into the kickoff, October 31st, hopefully we'll be in position to make a decision who will be the starter. Well,
Cordell Grundy led him in passing last year. Do you want a dual threat guy, or just it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I want a guy that allows our offense to be prolific. I want a guy that has poise and consistency and accuracy in the run game, that can also extend plays with his legs. Right. Don't necessarily have to run the ball by play design runs, but I don't want to sit in statue that's going to take sacks.
Let's talk about defense, because I look at your defensive line and I go through the personnel from last year and this year. Can the DL be as many as 8 deep this year?
Yeah. Yeah, we can be as 8 deep without any drop-off.
Really?
We have 8 quality guys that have played since they were true freshmen. When you say the name Balin Baker, when you say the name King Newton, when you say the name
Dantzler.
Yeah, Lorenzo Dantzler, DQ Henry, those guys have been with us all 3 years that we've been here, embarking on their 4th year. Solomon Wise, Eric Banks, etc., Jared Macklin. And so I think we're too deep there, where 8 guys can go in and we not flinch.
Right.
Yeah, you know, they're probably the strength of our team, our defensive line, and from a quantity standpoint.
Well, here's part of the problem last year, because they play a 4-2-5 defense, and then you get your 2 starting linebackers hurt last season. Mm-hmm. Give us an update on the linebacker position.
So we were a little different in our approach there. We wanted veteran guys because we knew we were losing there, and so we went out and got a transfer from Virginia. Mm-hmm. Got another transfer from LSU, and a junior college transfer. So we have some veteran guys at the linebacker position that we feel very confident that can step in and contribute right away, because they do have the experience and maturity to understand the speed of the game.
Is Andrew Martel going to be moving into a linebacker spot?
Yes, he has.
Played in the secondary last year, and he moves up. How tough is that transition for him?
You know, he played in the box predominantly for us. He was a strong safety most of the time, and occasions played the weak. So he played down in the box, so he has a comfort there. Certainly there's still some things and transitions that need to happen there, but his spring was spectacular. He's one of the leaders of our football team, and we have high expectations for him.
Well, last year, I think it would be safe to say the secondary had growing pains, but the good news is they're coming back this season.
Yeah, they're coming back, and we recruited to a group on the edge. I'm speaking of the corner position, where we went out and got guys that had length and the guys that had speed. As you know, in our conference, one of the reasons you play a 4-2-5 in this conference with a nickel defense out there, because you want as many guys that have coverage ability as possible. And so we needed to get guys, because they'll test you in Conference USA. Right. And so we needed to get guys on the corner position that had length but also speed. But probably the biggest asset we have is having Carl Austin back, the leadership of our defense, one of the leaders of our football team, a bright mind, a mature mind that has an understanding, not just schematically what we have to get done, but also the pulse of the team and what he and Josh do for us. And the reason they're here today, because they embody what we look for in our team.
Carl Lawson III, let's talk about that. How tough was it last year to sit and watch?
That was probably one of the hardest things for me to do as a player, you know, watching my guys go out there to battle, and I can't do anything to help on the field, you know. But I did all I can to be there for them, to give them some extra coaching on the sideline, to give them a different point of view, you know. And,
did it give you a different perspective of the game, though?
It did, you know. It gave me sort of a coach's eye on the sideline, you know. It gave me a different perspective of what to look for when I'm out there this coming year. So now, when I come out there this year, I have a different sense of what I'm looking for. I have a different mindset going out there now.
Now, we talked about the growing pains and the fact that you're coming back now. That just adds to the experience. And what are the goals then for the secondary and the defense this year?
Well, the goal for the whole defense is to be the best defense in Conference USA. And the goal for the secondary is to be the best secondary in Conference USA. So we're striving for that every day.
Okay, Josh, I'll talk to you about the offense. One of 2 seniors on the offensive line will be competing for all Conference USA honors, preseason Conference USA this year. Frustrating offense last year.
Yeah, we had some hiccups, in terms of, communication. I believe that's one of our biggest things this year that we've improved upon is communication. Now that the juniors last year are seniors now, we're able to take those underclassmen and show them this is how we do this is how we do that. And I believe when our communication is on point, we know where we're going and we can go there fast. That's what our big thing will be this year.
Well, you mentioned the communications. I mean, when you have 4 or 5 offensive linemen coming back, there is a sense of communication, and you know what the guy next to you is going to do.
Right.
Is that fair?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely fair. We love each other so much. We're a family on and especially off the field. None of us has any problems with each other. We hang out off the field and make sure everybody's doing okay. If one guy is feeling down out of practice, I'll talk to him, be like, hey, what's going on? I know things are rough, but let's just get through this drill. Let's get through this play, and let's work to get better. And if something's going on, we can talk about it off the field. But I believe that our communication has definitely been something that's been excellent this year.
One of 16 starters that are returning this year. Now, UTSA, you've been to bowl games. Last year you didn't after a very tough season, started 3-3. What's that taste in your mouth now that you didn't go to a bowl last year? And I'll start with you first, Carl.
Well, that just gives us more determination to go out there and play the best that we can this year. We're carrying a bit of a chip on our shoulder this year. We're gonna come out strong. It's gonna be an exciting year for UTSA football.
Josh, how about you? Not going to a bowl last year.
You definitely remember that. When you go into a new season, you want that to kind of linger in the back of your mind to know what you can work for. What we can strive for, and that's our goal this year is to go to a bowl game and win. So we're excited about where we're going to be going this year.
Did that revive you last year? I mean, what did last year mean to you? I mean, I know that you always go at the end of the season. You look back and say, okay, what could I have done better? Not what could I as a head coach done better? Sure. When you reflected about last season.
Yeah, it was the first time in a long time. Not been on the winning side of a record, of a bowl game, opportunity to play a bowl game. Humbling. It put things in perspective of a team that I probably coached my hardest last year in a dismal season. But the reality is it wasn't always about me. It never was about me. And I think the culture of our team came full circle, where our team now, I tried to lead, I will lead, but what has happened is the team, the players have taken the leadership roles and realized that they're shareholders. And so our team is now more player-led than just coach-led. And I think whenever you have that, you begin to rise because they take an ownership in it, and it allows them to truly play for one another, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, unselfishly, beyond anything, out of myself into the team, to give of myself for the good of the team. Right. Is our mantra of where we're at right now. And I think in a year ago, the want to improve on the previous 2 years, you poured so much into it that their voice wasn't heard as much as I desired it to be heard. And they have taken the leadership now. Our team has taken the leadership and championed our cause for one another.
Which really, when they start taking that over, it affects the locker room.
Yeah.
It affects everything, and they almost do the disciplining half the time.
Yeah, it becomes our way of life. It's our culture.
All right, Coach. Best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Right, good to see you again, gentlemen. Stay healthy.
Yes,
Have
sir.
a good year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll continue Conference USA Media Day. We'll be talking about Louisiana Tech when we return right after this.